There once was a man named Gold Roger who was king of the pirates. He had fame, power, and wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Before they hung him from the gallows, these were the final words he said.
Our perspective is yours for the taking, but you'll have to join us first. We left everything we debated at the Yonkō Table.
Ever since, pirates from all over the world set sail for the Grand Line, searching for the Yonkō Table, the table that will make their dreams come true.
Yo, folks, welcome to the Yonkō Table. That's right, it's the voice of GrandMasterHoop coming at you for what is the finale of season 2 of the epic hit HBO series Euphoria. That's right, everybody. After 7 episodes of having everybody in their minds go crazy over these revelations and all this story and plot lines, we have come to the conclusion of this finale that aired Sunday night, and we here at the table are here to deep dive and discuss. But I'm never here alone. We got some Supernovas in the house. Let's hear who is joining the table tonight. All right, folks. I mean, let's just get into it. I mean, it's been, we've had 2 days to digest everything that we took in. I only watched it once. I watched it yesterday. It's relatively fresh. Usually I watch it 2 times, but I'm walking away from this finale. I'm broken. I'm hurt. I'm a little upset over some things. And that's all that's talking about the show and what happens, like behind the scenes. But overall, I'm satisfied. I'm invested in the show. I'm invested in the characters. Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that. I can feel what I feel, and I felt something watching this finale. Okay, now, of course, not everything was great, but what they did nail was really good. That's where I stand.
You were just getting emotional about that 28-minute song that Elliot was singing to Rue. So I think that really pulled out all of the emotion out of you. I think
that did not pull any. Well, actually, the lyrics were actually really good. I will vouch for Elliot in those lyrics. If you read between the lines in the metaphor, you got to be metaphorical.
I just want to preface or end that quote from you, GrandMasterHoop, that this is coming from a Lin-Manuel Miranda fan, so take it with a grain of salt.
Oh my gosh, you need to stop. Don't stop with the hate.
Oh my god.
Are you saying I have no lyrical depth because I like Lin-Manuel?
I didn't say that, but if you take it, that's a difference.
Dang, he's saying if the glass slipper fits, then put it on, baby.
His lyrics were good. They were good. It was all about his relationship with Rue, and she's a star that fell on his head.
Wait, where'd that come
from? Did you watch the Enter Euphoria episode?
No, it wasn't
Who wrote
there.
That song? Who wrote that song?
I don't know.
Was it Labyrinth, right?
And Zendaya.
Zendaya and Labyrinth.
Yeah, I was just about to say, because Dr. Rika's not here, did you watch the special at the end?
No.
Grandmaster.
No, it wasn't there when I played the episode.
They literally did, specifically discussed that, yeah.
Fine,
yeah.
Well, look at me. I have the same opinion as them. I'm a lyrical genius. Now, did it overstay its welcome? Yes. I can't believe we're starting with Elliot's song.
Get the worst out of the way,
Sure.
Yeah.
Not the word. Maybe the worst out of the way. I'm still an Elliot stan. I don't care what y'all say. He messy for sure, but I think his intentions were kind of not innocent, but kind of innocent. But I feel like that book is closed.
You mean innocent after he fucked Jules?
Yeah, I want to thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
He has not come clean about that.
I don't think he ever will. If we didn't hear it in the finale, I don't think we're gonna hear it. I think Elliot's gone. Elliot said, look me up on Spotify. I'm starting my music.
No, he's actually gonna come back for season 3.
Yeah, because Jules has someone to be in a relationship with now.
That's so bad. Oh my
god. He's coming back for season 3. He confirmed
that
it.
That is so it's not the point. What do you call it? That Elliot, I don't think he's a bad actor. I think Dominique is a very, interesting actor. He makes really interesting choices. I just hate the character. This story in in season 1, it was about 2 queer non-men getting together in high school, and then how Sam wrote them apart when he had like he already had something there to drip them apart, which was like Jules' hesitancy to be with Rue because Rue's relapsed and then Rue's relapse, but instead he added Elliot in there. I don't know how I feel about him coming back. I think he was one of the low points in this season.
I don't know. I don't think it feels like just the way that this final episode went, I don't think anything may apply. I think this might be retconned at some point. Like, I don't know. This just from just from the background, like from what's been going on in the background and like the issues that the actors have been having and stuff. Well, allegedly.
I have to agree with you. I feel like this was kind of like a last minute character write-in type thing. Like, crap, we can't do anything with this character or this character. Let's try to add a new person, something fresh into the dynamic. And I think, could his story have been a little bit stronger? Sure. But like, I also think that like, it kind of, in a way, played a little bit of a balance of like, this is someone who uses drugs, but doesn't necessarily abuse drugs. Like, what Jules is used to, what Rue is used to, even what Lexi is used to, like he's not great in any way. He's just using drugs, but it's not to the extent that they have been used to, like their family members doing it. And I think in a way, he may potentially fuck up Jules more than like these addicts will, because like he's not a social drug user, but he's a drug user without necessarily being an addict, and who knows, I might be eating my words and like he may just like, I don't know, completely ruin season 3, but I think he's going to add an interesting and a different dynamic in a way.
I mean, we'll see. I when you said retcon, goodness, it did feel kind of like like the way it ended, a lot of plot lines are still open. And I'm wondering whether or not these plot lines will be a factor still in season 3. But also, with whatever is going behind the scenes really was like transparent in the storytelling. Again, we've been over the characters who've taken a major backseat. Kat, even Jules has taken a major backseat.
You forget about McKay.
Like, we got so many characters that were like totally forgotten about.
But then
fired. I don't even know.
But in the finale too, there was a lot of characters missing, and maybe it wasn't their story, or maybe it was because it was a continuation of episode 7. But we didn't see, the mom. Gia. We didn't see Gia. We didn't see Ruth's family. We didn't see Ali.
Yeah.
What we did see? We saw Rue's funeral scene, or her dad's funeral scene, for like the 5th time this season.
Okay, and I was trying to compartmentalize why they keep showing this scene. Didn't we get a little more every time?
No.
Yes, we did.
We got the whole thing on like the 3rd time. We saw the end. There were some
pieces. There were some pieces that were repeated, but there was some that was like new every time. But I'm trying to understand why they just couldn't just show it all in one shot instead of repeating.
I'm gonna hold my opinion on that when we talk about something else.
But there is a term though when it comes to cinematography, when you have you start off with one scene and you end with the same scene. I can't remember what the name of that term is, but
it's bookending.
Bookending. Yeah, sure. I think Sin City was the first time that I recognized something that was kind of like that. But Lexi's play is doing the same thing. She started off with the funeral. She went through all like our life, and then she ended with that funeral scene.
You shaking your head, Kame Chris. Fine. We're here. Let's talk about the conclusion of this play. Act 2.
Boy. Here we go.
There we go.
Now hold your whatever reservations you might have, because the play doesn't even start with the play after the intermission.
Yeah, that's not even. Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, we don't have to do that right.
My
now.
goodness, I feel Cassie came in. One, I love the music. Oh my gosh, I think the music really like made the feelings of everybody so palpable. I don't know. The music was so on. I don't know. That's probably some Beethoven, Bach type of thing. And they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna use that crescendo right there. Crescendo right there. Oh my God. And then Cassie comes and has this like Game of Thrones-esque monologue where she's trying to sound like the smartest person in the room. I was like, get the fuck off the stage, Cassie.
She's trying to
nobody like you. Stupid. I hate her.
She had the audacity to be like, oh, is this the part of the play where Hallie goes away from Martin? I'm like, this bitch, Maddie, go get her. The audacity.
She really was like, I'm gonna talk the talk, and then she tried to double down on being a villain, and then she was like, maybe I don't want to be a villain. It's not fair, please, Mom. It's not fair.
I think honestly, she really. I think when it came to, I'd say like her going on stage and trying to be ballsy was like, come on, girl. You should have been ballsy a long time ago. You should have had that confidence a really long time ago. Then it's like, she tried to go on stage and have a point, which she did have a point about her sister, which I can get into more. But
you sure
did have a point, which she did have a point in what she was saying, because Lexi is a bystander in this, and everybody's living their life while she tells their story, which is pretty messed up. So I will say she did have a point there, but she should have had several seats, a few more seats, and stayed there, and then went off on her sister alone, because what she now did was just open the door for Maddie to be like, hello, Miss Bold, you like to sleep with other people's dudes and not like say anything, best friend, so it's like, come on, girl. Like I'm not a Cassie. I don't like Cassie. I just like that she called her sister out on the weird shit that she was doing, for real.
Yeah, because we know you hate Lexi.
I think Cassie, she was seeing red, just like how Nate was seeing red at that random homophobic, quote unquote homophobic scene. But like, she was seeing red. She's love drunk off of Nate for some reason. And so once he broke up with her, she's like, I'm gonna kill her. Like, she got like so like pissed off.
It was the window.
She
and then
Nieces got Nieces backdrop.
Oh my gosh, Rue's face during that, like, it was literally, as soon as I saw him, like, that's a meme. That's a meme right there.
Yeah,
it's the perfect face.
All I could do was laugh when I heard her breathe. I was like, is this for real?
She definitely had a lot of momentum, because I know she was angry that Nick broke up with her, and she was really pissed. But the reason being was because her sister was putting on this play and exposing everyone. I think, I feel like before that, like, not that she was okay with the play, but she was just like not as pissed about it. I think she got like more pissed when it's like it resulted in the ending of her relationship with Nate. When Nate broke up with her, that's when she got mad. That's like what triggered her. I think before that, like, if you notice, like, I feel like throughout the play, it's a lot of her crying and, realizing like, the memories of their dad, and like now he's not there, and like she really misses him. And then like her relationship with Maddie, and how like, that's no longer intact. I really think I really feel like the only reason why she was really pissed off about the play is because Nate broke up with her. Because before that, I feel like it was a lot of just reminiscing for her and bringing those memories before. But yeah, I feel like a lot of her anger just was fueled from that. And she was just like spewing out hate because she was upset. I don't really think like that's how she really felt about Lexi.
That one audience member that was like, hey, that's racist.
That's racist, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is this part of the play?
That's racist.
Honestly, best audience, because they were really digging into
realistic. Everything. It was realistic. Like in high school, that's what some assholes would say in the audience,
Oh yeah.
Show us your boobs.
Oh my gosh. When they said but also too, the structure of the play it seems a scene like that could happen. Sue's coming on, being like, "Hi, I'm the mother of Lexi.
Oh my god.
I'm played by Ethan. Like, I would have been confused too. I would think that's literally part of the play. And then, I guess the icing on the cake for Cassie's anger was, in
the carousel.
The carousel.
Yeah.
See, that was a dig.
Weird.
That was
I
a dig.
I feel like
dig.
everything before that, like I feel like it was truly just how Lexi remembers things. Besides the Nate scene, like that was definitely, you know, theatrical, and how she put that was definitely a dig on Nate. But I feel like before that, like everything was just how she remembered it, just like walking everyone through her life. That carousel scene was definitely a dig, but I'm sorry, it was hilarious.
Hands
again,
down.
like
Oh, it was
Maddie,
funny. It was funny.
like Cassie, like I understand like why Cassie's upset, but it's also like, girl, you really did do that. You know that, right?
But that's not Lexi's story to tell, though.
Which
She didn't need to tell it. Everybody in the whole town saw it.
The whole town saw it.
Oh, but that's literally her. Okay, since everybody in town saw it, right, and they didn't even know that like the play was about them, they were gonna know when that happened. So it's like, So
what
it's
other
like, okay,
friend
now
group?
really
What
shady.
other friend groups?
Yeah.
Has, you know, a girl that is like Hispanic that starts with an M, and then what do you call it? A girl who was getting high on a carousel, and then they're really like, I wonder where we could find them.
But they knew from the beginning. Everyone knew from the beginning, though, even before the carousel scene.
I mean,
because
it
everyone was
had to
looking at
be.
Nate. Everyone was looking at Nate when his scene came up, so you can't like.
But, you know,
everyone
was
knew.
Weird, but it was weird because you wouldn't think. I think it was like right before that they had got surprised when they were like, when Maddie was like, "Oh, you like sleep with their boyfriends," or she said something in the audience. Everybody's like, "Oh," and it's like they were like, "Oh, that's them," and I'm like, "Wait, we knew
Did
that."
you not put two and two together? Like, but
that happened a long time ago.
So
Probably
They
gonna have
weren't
people
together.
that have no idea who these people are. You know, there's gonna be some people in the audience that are gonna be like, "Huh?"
yeah, and I think since we're on the play, you know, Chris, we've been going back and forth for like 2 weeks now about what do you call it? About like the ethics of witness, and you know what? I think I can come to a middle ground here because, like, some of the stuff that was in Lexi's play, I'm like, why are you putting this in here? And I get it that they try to have their cake and eat it too. That's what Sam Levinson wanted to do. She was like, look, ooh, I'm so smart. Oh my God, I'm writing with one hand, and you know, and then the other side of that is that nothing really makes sense because he wanted to show. There were moments that Lexi was shown caring about these people and taking care of them, but you can't try and shoehorn that in at the end with those scenes where she came in for Rue, where she came in for Cassie, where she came in for her dad, where she came in for all these people that she cared about. You know, you can't shoehorn that in at the end and then in episode 3 of this season be like, I've always kind of been a loner, and you know, I feel like I'm not in my life. And then I'm like, so which is it? Are you just there in the background, or are you actively taking care of these people like you know you are? So what is it? And I think he just really got carried away. Like when I say he, I mean Sam Levinson got carried away with like what this play could do within the narrative.
I don't know. I think that he was trying to get some like self-discovery in a way. Like after she, like as a writer, you know that like your interpretation of where you are, and then when you actually put it down on paper and you actually start to tell the story, you kind of are like, oh wow, I'm not as much of a back character as I thought I was. Like maybe I'm a little bit more caring. Maybe I'm a little bit more of like that person that's like that supporting role. And that supporting role should never be looked down upon. Like everyone needs to have that support. Some great movies are carried because of the supporting role, you know? And so I think like with Lexi's life, she was that supporting role for her friends, but you can see that that supporting role was also a very caring and loving person that was like there for them, sometimes at their hardest times.
Yeah, but then it begs the question. It really does beg the question of like, did Lexi get someone to edit this? did someone other than Lexi, right, read this play and give her feedback on it? Or was she pulling a Sam Levinson and Tyler Perry where they write, one draft and they're like, okay, time to publish?
Well, we were talking about this yesterday too, Nieces Pieces and I. They confirmed Rue read the play before watching the play.
Okay,
it's kind of okay, yeah. Like that seemed like it gets a little confusing because it's like it shows it like that Rue, like obviously like that part was in the play because it happened before the play, so Lexi put it in the play. And then like rewatching it, I noticed like Rue had said, Lexi said, like Rue's like, I really loved your play. I feel like it helped me, and she's like, glad you're the only one that thinks that. So it's a little bit confusing. I don't know if that scene happened before the play. At first glance, it looked like Lexi ran this by Rue. She got Rue's blessing.
And they were switching so much. Yeah. It didn't make sense. Yeah.
So like I was under the impression that it looked like Lexi like showed Rue the play beforehand, before the play was put on, and that's why that scene was in the play. But then when I was like listening to the context a little bit more, like that's when Lexi was like, well, I think you're the only one who feels that way. So I'm just like, I don't know, that scene, like I was so confident that she had shown this scene happen before the play was put on, but now I'm like a little confused. I don't know what you guys think, but I feel like that confused the hell out of me.
No, it confused the hell out of me too, because then they shifted to I thought it was after, and that it was a reconciliation after the play, and I was like, this is perfect. And then they switched, the scene is in the play now, and I was like, wait a minute. And then Sam Levinson confirmed that you don't know what the play is and what's not in the play, and I'm like,
no drugs, because like what?
a euphoric state of mind where you don't know what's linear or what's non-linear, and I guess maybe that's the ambiguity of the play. You can piece together what transpired before or what transpired after, but I think Darce raises a really good point with the bystander and the support. It offers a different perspective. She's in a group of these friends who they're kind of all their main character, and Lexi has accepted her role as the supporting character, and she just offers a new perspective. And a lot of the play was very heartwarming. It was very touching. She touched on topics that resonated, like we said, Cassie did feel some type of way during the play, and she only got angry because Nate broke up with her. But she was having an emotional connection to scenes in the play, which could have been redeeming for Cassie, especially when it was like that scene where she comforted Maddie, when Maddie stayed over that one night, But yes, there were digs in the play, which again, that brings back Fez's comment saying some people need to get their feelings hurt. And it all offers perspective.
To get her feelings hurt in her
it all offers perspective.
But Fez also believes that some people should die sometimes.
Shut
Thank
up.
you.
Stop
I was like, he's a
it.
drug dealer. Why is she listening to him?
Stop it.
Hey, we will not put up with Fez hate here.
I love
He's
Fez.
going to jail. Like, why are we listening to someone that's going to jail?
He wants to be on a farm.
He
wants to be on a farm.
See, hold up, because this is the only I think this is like the biggest issue I like see. It's so apparent. Everybody has a lot of empathy for Lexi because there's a lot of people that watch the show, I feel, including myself, that are like kind of like in her shoes sometimes, where they feel like they're kind of in the background and they're really kind of introverted, maybe not talk a lot or whatever. I get that. I understand that. My problem is it goes both ways. If you don't like Cassie, you can't like Lexi. And if you like Lexi, you have to like Cassie, because Nate, it wasn't just because Nate broke up with her. It was because every time she has a man in her life, as we saw when she was a kid, she is very compliant. She's very, sweet. She's trying to be like perfect or whatnot. But when we're talking about when he broke up with her, she had no man to like hold her back. So she became bold, Cassie, and decided to say what she wanted to say, and she had no man to like hold her back. And I will say that is a lot of the case for a lot of people in general. When they don't have that one, I would say, like, if you're a man and, like, let's say, like, you have, like, no girl, like, you have, like, some girlfriends or whatever, but you don't hang around a lot of girls, and you're a straight man and you get broken up with a girl, you tend to, I don't trust girls, I don't want to do anything with girls, so then you're really in a pissy mood. Cassie is on, like, the verge of just, like, I'm in a pissy mood, so I don't like anyone that's had to do with this Nate situation, so she's literally just going off of her sister, like, tangent line, like, just going off of her sister, and then when Maddie calls her out, that's when you see, like, oh, girl, you're a punk at the end of the day. Like, you're like how men do when they're like, oh, I don't mess with girls, but then when a girl they like comes up to them, they're like, oh my God, like, I love her. Like, I'm just trying to make a comparison to, like, when it's just like when men are, like, broken up with and then they have their, like, tantrums. She had the same thing. It's just that she's a woman and we don't like her, and she seems really weak, that everyone's attacking Cassie, but Lexi is just as fucked up for putting all this shit into play in the first place. So it's just like, and then we're like, oh, because of reasons, but it's like Cassie has multiple reasons why she is the way she is, and no one's giving her, like, the time of day. But it's like, okay, I know she's like a white girl, blonde hair, but we still got to be like, a little bit understanding of where she's coming from. So it's like you can't hate one and then like the other. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
And I hear that, but it's just like my problem with Cassie is like the lack of self-awareness and ownership for when she fucks up. I think like that's the part that really pissed me off. And I can't really say the same for Lexi because I feel like Lexi hasn't really been put in that position yet. So who knows like how Lexi would react like when she's called out on her shit. I mean, obviously she kind of just, when Cassie was calling her, she was just like kind of quiet. Like she didn't really like, deny what she was doing or really like, also like defend herself either. But I feel like my problem with Cassie is like, no matter like, I don't know. Again, it all ties back to Maddie for me. It's just like the fact that this was your best friend. She was basically crying on the other side of the door and you didn't have the balls to like open up and talk to her face to face and like tell her like what happened and if our friendship is still worth it.
Just like Lexi just did. You just said it. Lexi did the exact same thing. You just made the connection.
Yeah, like I guess Cassie did kind of shut down, but like also like Cassie like denies it too. Lexi shut down, but Cassie also denies it. Like she's just like they were broken up. She tried to like justify what she did. You know what I'm saying? It's not like Lexi's out here like like I did this because like she was not like she was like actively like defending. I feel like Lexi just shut down. Both her and Cassie.
But you want to know something? You want to know something? This is where I think the issues that we're having is because the writing celebrates Lexi for what she does and then destroys Cassie for what she does. And ultimately, I think we expected a little bit more complexity in this season, especially with both sides of this of these issues. Because I think honestly, as a writer, like maybe Lexi would take the risk and maybe that episode, past the play finishes and then people like call her out on her shit. Like maybe Cassie has a right to be mad, like you definitely, I don't know how I feel about how you presented me in the play and maybe there should have been a reckoning for that. But also I feel like you could have had multiple people have different opinions on the play, but we never get to see that. You know what I mean? Like, it would be interesting to see how Maddie felt about the play, going up to them and be like, you put some like what Rue got with Lexi. It should have been like at least for Maddie and for Cassie because Maddie had a very emotional thing.
We might get that next season.
But that's next season. That's
too
2
late.
years.
I mean, as a starting point,
happened too.
As a starting point, it would be good to follow up on how this play has affected in the long term these characters or the high school in itself and whatnot. It would be good to follow up and know what happens next because that is a very good point. They really did villainize Cassie a lot. She even, I'll be the villain. You want me to be the villain?
I feel like they might do it too because I feel like from season 1, Fez is over here threatening Nate. And we're like, and it just like ends like that. And we're just like, is he gonna do anything? Like, what the fuck? Like, Nate needs to get his ass whooped. And then they opened up season 2. Nate got his ass whooped. So hopefully that gives us some promise that maybe whatever we're hoping for that we didn't get to see this season means that season 3 will pick it up. Maybe Cassie will have, because I loved Cassie in season 1. I feel like I really empathize with her. I think just the struggle with me this season is just like her lack of ownership and just like yeah, just like, and also too, like, it just broke my heart because like her and Maddie were so close, and it's like she didn't care about it because of
Nate,
some psychopath that came into her life. And I know he manipulated her and everything too, but it's just like at the end of the day, like that was your best friend, and like you were, you know, consoling her like while she was like grieving this relationship, and you know, also talking about getting back together with him. Like, I don't know, like as a woman, like that just like really hits home for me, because I feel like, again, girl code. So I feel like that was the hard part for me, because I loved Cassie in season 1. I feel like I really empathized with her a lot, but this season she made it so hard. So hard.
She has,
you know, I would just say that again, it falls on the writing, because ultimately I feel like you can have this storyline, but you need to have multiple points of contention. Because you know what? If I would have wrote this season and had the same events transpire, it would have been very different, because you had the perfect foil at the beginning. Because let's say that Cassie gets, you know, swept up by Nate. First of all, I would not show that speeding scene, and then she's like, "Oh, you're speeding? Let me take off my," you know, I'm not gonna do that. But it would definitely have a contrast between Nate literally going to McKay and be like, yeah, you had sex with her or whatever, you know what I mean? And basically trying to glow, versus when Cassie gets confronted by Maddie, it's something different. It's something that we as an audience have to reckon with ourselves and see how far or what choice Cassie will make in that moment. But ultimately we didn't get that. We got the skeleton of a really good story, and then ultimately, like, none of the fat, none of the meat came with it.
Yeah, speaking of which, how do we feel about that fighting scene now that we're
I was gonna say, I don't want to harp on the play. I mean, I think we covered pretty much all aspects of the play, but yes, the fight. I know a lot of people wanted more. I know I was screaming at the TV.
I was trying to think like a fight. There was a fight? No. Maddie just slapping the fuck out of Cat in the right.
Well, she slammed her face into the wall.
Yeah, slammed her face into
Maddie,
the wall.
No.
I would call it a fight.
I'm not gonna lie, BB was great. She was gone the entire season. She's like, "Get that hoe, bitch slapper! You know she deserve it." Like, oh my
god, beat her ass.
She fucked your boyfriend, beat her ass. Bates.
She was hilarious. Her and Bobby.
Oh, Bobby, yes.
Oh, I love Bobby.
Please give some credit to Bobby.
Giddy
oh
up,
my god.
Giddy up.
She
honestly, when she was like, they were like, "Oh, should we stop the play?" And then just like, no, that's the brilliance of Cassie Howard.
The brilliance. Yes. Yes.
She cracks me up so much. I love her. I hope we see more of her next season. That is my definitely. I hope so, because she is hilarious.
She's so quiet. Little one-liners. It just like takes it.
But you see, she was great because she was messy, but then cleaned up her mess afterward. Sure. She let the mess happen, even though she was stage manager. But then she went back and checked in on Lexi. She's like, "Art should be dangerous. Let's get on with the show." You know.
She's so cute.
And actually, that was a really good quote too. Art should be dangerous. Push the boundaries of what is accepted and what is not, and just live for your art. Don't live for the reaction.
Yeah, and talking about what should be accepted and what shouldn't be accepted.
Don't do it.
Let's talk about that Nate scene.
Okay.
That should not be accepted at all.
What a weird scene too, because the way they were going back, I think they were going back and forth between Fez and Nate. So the whole time I'm like, is this a cop loading a revolver or what's going on? And then I was like, oh, it's Nate. What's he about to do? Go shoot up the school? No, he's about to go shoot up the school.
Oh shoot, I didn't even think about that.
Yes.
No, I thought he was just gonna shoot his. I thought it was clear that he was gonna go shoot his dad.
Oh, I don't know. I had that.
Oh.
I never thought I'd see Cal again.
It was just the last
he did.
episode. The last episode, I'm like, I think he's like a little upset. And then when I watched the special too, they were talking about like it was a dream or something. So I was like, okay, like it was.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Oh, the sequence, yeah.
Yeah,
What,
because it was
the
the last episode.
The one where we were talking about, you know, how we thought maybe Cal assaulted Nate, but what it really is, he's just been having that reoccurring dream.
Yeah.
Ever since finding his dad's.
And I was like, and I think the giveaway was the gay thing, with him being in the locker room and him being gay, and like when they were doing that whole thing, I was like, I see where this is going, because when he had the gun and the beer, I was like, I don't know who else he's gonna shoot, but the only other gay man he knows that he's very pissed that he's looked at like this for. So I mean, and then when he literally said, "Oh, this is the reason, you know, I've been protecting you this entire time, but you've been hating me for it," and I'm like,
no, he hasn't been protecting him though. He's been protecting Cal's reputation because he wants to take over Cal's business.
Well, I would say protecting him, like people are making Nate.
He was also
look
protecting him from his mom. Like he wasn't tattletaling and saying like, "Hey, mom, like look at the drawer, look at all these videos and stuff." I think in a way that he kind of like idolized his dad in some weird way, and like he was trying to protect him. I think it was mainly for that business, but either way, it was all just really weird and gross. It's also weird that Cal was having a kiki in the middle of his office. Like it was just so weird.
Listen, Cal's living his best life. Cal's living his best gay life.
It's the house of extravaganza for me. Like
It
he
really
started his whole house. he is a new mother. I can't believe it.
Is that what that was? Is that what that was? That's
Basically, that's literally
Cal about to go to the ball. And
no, yeah, they're about to go to a ball. But he was about to walk face. No,
I didn't know what to really think. I don't know, because like I don't know if protection's the right word. I feel Nate this whole time's just really been building up an idea of what's been really going on, and obviously he's just now coming to terms with his inner feelings about everything that's been going on. I think Nate's still confused. I don't think he was protecting Cal. He just didn't know how to. I think he just doesn't know how to come to terms with what he's feeling.
So,
he bottled up everything, you know. I don't think it was necessarily protecting. In a way, it protected Cal, but I don't think his intentions were to be protecting Cal.
It's kind of hard with Nate. He's such a vague character. It's kind of hard to really ever know his true intentions. Like especially like when he brought the disc to Jules, and like he was like, "Oh, like, you know, this is the only copy that I know of." Yeah, and then he brings out the USB. So it's just like, at first I'm just like, "Oh, okay, you know, maybe he really did."
There's some theory though that the USB isn't all of the footage. There's a theory that the USB is something to do with the third son.
Oh
no, I don't believe.
I'm not going to give Sam that much power.
No,
I'm not going
to. You want to know something? I've been trying to follow the breadcrumbs, and you know what I got? I just got dust in my mouth. That's what it is.
Literally.
Like that's what I've been trying. I feel like I've gaslighted myself this entire scene. I'm like, the third son. Oh my God, Lori's gonna do something. Oh my God, Fez, it's gonna all come together in the play, and everyone's gonna be happy. And now I'm like a fucking fool.
I'm not gonna lie. This season finale was a bit on the disappointing side with like all the empty storylines, you know.
Yeah, like, which I'm hoping they use to their advantage next season, maybe. You think?
Maybe.
A good writer would come back to those empty plot lines, you know, those missing finales to those plot lines. A good writer, a good writing team.
A good writer would also be like, if this is where I leave you, here's the promise for something else. You know what I mean? Because a good writer,
yeah.
Like if it's like, especially with like Lori stuff, why is Rue just casually walking around town like it's nobody's business when she owes 10 grand to this lady?
I mean,
I wonder if Lori
owe 10 grand, or did Lori cash in on Rue's body for that 10 grand?
Yeah,
which I said that too.
I'm not going to give Sam too much room with that either. I really not. I thought so too. I really did, but a lot of other things say otherwise. Now with this last episode, it's confirmed. He's not doing all that. it's
yeah.
the story's not that good.
It's very like when I think with this season specifically, I feel like it's a lot of things with just face value that we added the story into the season. Like with Lori in episode 5, when the ending scenes with Lori, and we kept cutting back, and we like it between like the bird in the cage and then the lock, and we kept hearing the scratching, you know what I mean? Like it was there, but it never got brought up again. So in the end, it just ended up being like Sam literally being like, oh, you know, if you do drugs, you'll end up like that. and then
that was a close one, Rue.
Yeah, that's exactly how
Lori's going to affect in season 3 for sure, because Faye was saying, like, wasn't it Lori, the one that lives at 2203, whatever? Like that's gonna be a huge wrench into like Lori's operation. I think like Fez may get shanked in prison when he's rooming with Cal. I don't know. Like, there's gonna be a lot of like
rooming with Cal.
Oh,
and then Fez will be like, "Yeah, man, Ashtray died," and then Cal will be like, "Ashtray, you mean my third son that I lost because my mom?"
Stop! Shut up!
Yeah.
This is hurting my head.
No,
this is fan fiction. Fan fiction.
It is fan fiction, but I really think Lori's gonna come back into.
Oh yeah,
I feel like she's a very strategic woman, and I feel like we talked about this on the previous podcast. Like I feel like she knows Rue's gonna come back to her, and Rue says at the end, like, "Oh yeah, I stayed clean that year, so who knows? She may relapse and end up going back to Lori." I don't think Lori's stressing about 10K. Like, she knows one way or another, like, Rue's an addict, and she's going to come back one way or another.
Don't say that. We don't need Rue going back.
I know.
But the thing is, we have to remember, at the end of the day, this TV show is called Euphoria. That's based off of Rue getting high to get that sweet spot moment. You know, like, what's going to be season 3, Euphoria, where we follow Cassie sleeping with other men and Maddie, you know, changing her hair color. Like, we gotta still kind of like stick to like what Euphoria really is for.
No, I think this is what it needs to be. I think it needs to go back to what it originally was in season 1, where it was truly about a love story between, of course there's a lot of other things, but it was about a love story between, you know, Jules and Rue, and I feel like this season split them apart because of one thing or another. And, you know, I'm calling it right now. And if this shows up in season 3, Sam, I want my money. I want my royalties. But the smart thing to do would be to do a time jump and then be like, let them come back. Let's see how Rue has settled in, and let's see the struggles of keeping clean, because we've already seen her relapse. She's already seen the consequences of that. Of what it would be like to be an addict. And I think a good point jumping off would be to see how she's holding up, to see how hard it is to continue to keep clean, even when everything wants to point you in the direction of going back. And then even may bring mentoring other people so that she can continue. But that's just the smart thing to do.
Well, that's a good point, because, you know, her conversation with Lexi was all about, you know, how she says she wanted to strangle anybody who says your dad died for a reason. You have to give it reason. Next season will be Rue searching to give reason to her dad's death, which that was the scene I cried when she closed her eyes in the play, because, you know, as she said, she's always with her dad when she closes her eyes.
I think that's going to apply to Lexi too. The way they like kind of really put her on a pedestal these last few episodes. I think that's going to be the case for the both of them, because Cassie and Maddie are graduating. I think they're seniors now.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't even think we're going to be seeing Nate, Cassie, or Maddie be involved.
Well, I think we'll see the time jump. I think with the time jump by senior year, because if she's already saying by the end of the school year, even though I'm not even trying to give Sam that much room, but even though she's saying like by the end of the school, she was sober just that year, I'm like, okay, let's time skip past the sober, because obviously we don't want to watch that boring shit. So we want to see her. They called it boring. They said, "Oh, this is boring."
Yeah, like that. It's going to be boring.
Just name drop it. She stays sober for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's fine, cool. And then skip to senior year, and I think it's going to be a big focus on Lexi, Cassie, maybe Jules. I don't know.
You know what? I don't think that they're even going to finish off high school. I think that they're going to be in college or back staying at home or at community college or whatever their directions are. And I think that's going to be a lot easier, especially for the actors that don't want to work with each other. They're just going to be splitting and taking off into different directions. And we're going to have different storylines that may converge at the end when they all reunite from a tragedy or something, you know?
I need these actors to stop. This does not make good television where they are basing the storylines on the fact that they can't get along. I need y'all to get along.
We can talk about that too. Yeah, we need to get into that.
Well,
that's petty.
Before we get into that, one, I just like to point out, Euphoria does not have to be drug induced. Euphoria is a feeling of excitement or happiness, and I think that is the layer of the show. Is that what was originally thought to be, you know, watching this girl's drug abuse, drug use, relapse to get into a euphoric state. It is about finding that euphoria. And I'm actually quoting my brother. I mean, wherever he may be, my brother. I'm quoting him, how he said, it is about the pursuit of that euphoric state without it being induced by drugs, you know? And that is the beauty of the show.
But we're here for the drugs. But majority of us want to see the drugs take a
Stop
break.
it.
Like,
stop it. Stop it.
But then it's like what do you call it? This is where the show really has to either sink or swim. You know, it's either jumps the shark or it grows the beard. Like, because and for those who don't know, like, growing the beard means that it comes into its own. It changes slightly to come into its own. Because look, I'm gonna give a really weird example, but just follow me on this. Ed and Eddie. A lot of people said that when they went to school, they were like, oh no, they have to stay in the cul-de-sac. They can't go to school. And then a lot of people also say that they grew a beard, that the show helped grow up. It helped the show grow up and had the staying power so that we had that beautiful ending. I think what Euphoria needs to do is that we've already seen all this stuff, you know, to an extent. And some of the things we saw too much of. So I think it really needs to come into its own and be like, okay, let's mature now. So we give these characters space to grow. Because if we're just talking about cycles over and over and over again, then what's the point? What's the point of everything that we're seeing? Then this is what we get. We just get a play with a bunch of backstory and very little involvement of the main characters.
I mean, we could have drugs involved without it being, you know, a cycle. Like, I was gonna say, like, I was gonna think that Rue learns moderation in some way, as far as like she doesn't like she's not an addict anymore.
She can't do it anymore.
Wait, I'm not done. But she's not an addict anymore. And then, you know, she's like trying to always stay away, but then we have other situations. She goes to a party, you know, senior year prom, whatever. Like, some, you know, there's just situations that happen that she just gets caught up in the moment. And then she realizes that was so stupid. I like did drugs, and you know, it's a whole ordeal. And then it
and she has to forgive herself again. Yes,
exactly.
That's a cycle. That's the cycle
later,
he's talking about.
But wait, but then she's not an addict. Like I'm saying, like after in a whole month span, she does it one time. That's not an addict. Like she literally got caught up. That's what I'm saying.
I have to disagree with that because there's no way.
I'm not done yet. Like at the end, I would say like the last few, like last season, she's a sober person. I just don't think like right now, if she's still in high school, it's going to be pretty like Degrassi. Like, I don't think that's what a lot of the audience came for, I would say, as far as like what the story was, you know, prior. It was about drugs. It's been about, like, I'm not saying like advocating for it, but I'm just saying that's been what's been setting the scenes, and that's what's been keeping it pushing. So I would say they couldn't just go cold turkey on us about it. Like, all of a sudden, Lori just is all of a sudden just this crazy lady, and Rue doesn't relapse, and Elliot doesn't matter because Elliot literally said he still does drugs. So there's got to be, like, it just wouldn't make any sense for them to just be like, no more drugs. Like,
I'm saying like no more drugs in the sense of let's not have another relapse arc. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Of course. No relapse.
Because then I'd be like, okay, we've been there, done that. Like, let's find something new to talk about this, about exactly what we're trying to get on this journey.
Stray away from it, but that's it.
I don't think we can't really also show Rue trying to do any sort of moderation either, because honestly, that's something that when I was working at that rehab, it's not really a true thing that we can really do. You know, like you can't, for addicts, you can't just go and have one hit of a joint.
Right.
You can't really just go and have one drink at a party and then think, wow, I was so stupid for doing drugs when I was in high school. This stuff is easy to do. You know, like their mind doesn't really operate like that. And it's hard to kind of conceive that like, okay, like you can just have one and just be chill. You know, like in their mind, once they take an inch, they're going to immediately go a mile, or they're going to slowly spiral down into a mile. And that's something that, like, if that is the case, maybe that is something that we need to see, is that Rue goes and tries it in college.
That's realistic.
It is
That's what I'm
realistic.
saying.
But that's what but we've
There
been
are
through
a lot of
that.
addicts that go out there and think that, like, okay, well, now that I'm older, I've been in the program for X amount of years, like I've been sober for X amount of years, like, so what, I have a beer, you know? And then it does end up into a position where they're like, okay, I have a beer. Okay, I have a beer and a puff. Okay, I have a beer puff and like I accidentally blacked out. Okay, everybody blacks out. It's okay. You know, it starts that spiral that then turns into something that's way worse. So maybe it is something that we need to see, that like Rue goes through it and then she's like, you know what, I can't do this. I have to. Like,
but
Exactly,
we already saw that too. We saw her be like,
well,
it's just weed. It's just one beer.
It was
She was doing
gaslighting
drugs
people.
and lying. She was doing drugs and lying.
right.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, like, at the heart of it all, the thing about this show is that Rue is really young, but she's already gone through multiple phases of drug addiction that have been, you know, what is the reality of it all. We see her go through it just at a early young age. I think any more would,
wouldn't
like,
say
I agree.
all of it.
I know,
So then
but
maybe
I agree with. I
Right,
agree
maybe
with.
we see her actually partake in like drinking and stuff, but going through that internal conflict of like, I want to socialize, but I can't really socialize because I don't want to like put
Yeah,
myself.
That's fine,
That's exactly
but
where I was going with it. That's exactly what I was
that's
saying.
fine. But I would any more of her thinking,
Relapsing.
yeah, it's been done. It's been done.
Right. I agree.
Right.
think
I
we
mean,
need-
just from a storytelling standpoint, yeah, I think you need to see Rue come into an all. You know, Ollie is trying to make sure Rue, you know, fixes herself earlier than he did. You know,
Yeah.
like he went through a whole life with his addiction, and now he's dealing with you know, the repercussions. He's trying to stop her in her tracks before it gets any worse.
Right.
And that's where we need to see Rue. We need to see what is Rue doing to stop herself in her tracks.
But
And
she's a child too, though.
She
She's
is,
also
so
a
she can-
child, so
she can
she's
be in
gonna
these
make mistakes
situations.
still. So that's why I think it'd be completely unrealistic. We only have seen her sober for like, I don't know, a few weeks or something, or I don't even know the biggest time. Like, but we've only seen her sober for so long. Like, realistically, addicts, like, you know, I know a few, and it's they'll have times where they just don't do it at all, and then they'll go back to whatever, alcohol, whatever it is. They'll go back to it for a little, and then they relapse and then go back. Well, I don't want to see her relapse. I'm just saying there'll be moments where she gets anxiety, and it's like a really intense moment where she's like having to choose, like, oh my God, like I really don't know if this is a good decision, but everybody's like trying to like get me like, oh, it's okay, really. And she's like really making like some grown-up decisions. And maybe there's a few times that she does go back and, you know, maybe dabs a little bit of something, whatever it is. But then
Maybe she
comes back
regrets it.
and then
maybe she
instantly
has to
regrets it,
forgive
and then
herself,
the drama unravels with that. So that's all I'm saying. That's what I was getting at.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if it shows up in the next season, Sam Levinson or whatever your name is, we want our royalties. We said it first. We didn't get it from anywhere. We
Well,
want our
the
royalties.
wire actually did the whole drug secular thing first, but that's another story. But
And you know, I think it's going to be good to see also, really quick before you change the subject, I think it'll be good to kind of also see how society can kind of view people who are addicts, you know, like in a way that's healthy, that like you can have a good time and you don't necessarily need to go out and have drinks all the time. And maybe how you approach people all the time. Like sometimes my go-to when it comes to like hanging out with new people or going on dates or something is like, hey, you want to go grab a drink? And I kind of have to keep an awareness that like not everybody can have a drink. Maybe going out and saying like, hey, do you want to go grab coffee? Do you want to go, do something else? Like that way it's a little bit more open-minded and understanding for like people that are addicts that like, hey, I still want to go out and have a good time, but I just would prefer that we did not use drugs in this.
Searching for a sense of euphoria minus the drugs.
Oh my God. All right, fine. Is that what you want?
That's the layer.
They're all addicts. Every single one's an addict.
That is what they're trying to hammer home right here. They're trying to hammer it home.
Yes.
Okay,
they're all addicts.
Listen, they are addicts. Yes, they're all searching for euphoria. Yes, that is the
every
point.
single one.
Right. Now listen, goodness gracious, we are coming up on the close of this, and we have not talked about freaking Fez, that whole scene.
Exactly.
Let this be the last.
With that though,
did this shit.
Faye she's the real shit. I love Faye for doing.
Good job, Faye. Good job.
All right, told her what she knew it so far in advance. Why couldn't she tell them earlier? That's my thing.
She was conflicted.
She's scared. Conflicted is good too.
It was a little too late for me.
It is a little too late. You're not wrong.
But it not a Lexi lover is better than never.
Listen, but
tell that to Ash, who's dead.
Ash died because he made a mistake. Faye and what do you call it? Fez were playing it cool. Ash died because he was like, "Oh, you said no too many times. It's time to get the stabby."
But you know what? This was like the decline of Ash, because like this whole season we saw that like, okay, he went and he killed Mousetrap or whatever his name is, and then he goes and he beats the shit out of Cal, and then he goes and he stabs this guy. He's a monster. I feel bad for calling him that, but like
he's a product of his environment.
100%, and we saw it in that first episode. But like, dang, this kid.
Well, see, that is the stark and that's why it's a really good like comparison between him and Fez. Fez already had a childhood prior to entering that life. Yes.
I mean, not
to smack the shit out of him.
I didn't say it was the best childhood, but there were moments of innocence. Where was Ash's innocence? Never. Ash ain't watching Little House on the Prairie. Ash never watched Stand By Me. Ash is watching the TV monitors and watching the video cameras.
Getting Bitcoin.
Right. The boy Ash has never had a childhood innocence. Fez, although it was, not the greatest, of course not the greatest, still had inklings of innocence, and that's why he can connect to Lexi on levels, but Ash, he can't have a conversation with anybody, like, your son's fucked up. Do you and your son do fucked up things to, people? And Ash is over here like, bah, bah, bah. And the only childhood Ash might have had is watching some Quentin Tarantino films. Because what the hell? The man went...
Grandma.
He got that from the grandma?
He got that from the grandma. Are you crazy?
To act dead on the floor and be like...
That was a whole ass episode. Yeah.
That's some diehard shit, man. That's some diehard shit.
But look, I'm giving a lot of Ashtray's storyline in this season to whatever his name is. I think his name is Javon. Javon. His acting is really good. I can't wait to see him in Umbrella Academy season 3.
Oh, he's in Umbrella Academy
in season 3. But I hope that he gets more lines.
An Olympic boxer.
Who's an Olympic boxer?
Well, like he on his Instagram, on his Instagram, all he does is talk about boxing, and he wants to be an Olympic boxer. Like,
really?
He can do multiple things. John Cena wrestles and he acts. So
it's doable. I mean, you can do both.
I just didn't know. I just didn't know.
But ultimately, like, I really do think that Fez, Faye, and Ashtray carried their storylines through their acting and not so much their writing. What happened to Ashtray not liking Faye? Dropped. What happened to what happened
for like however many months?
Yeah, but a good writer would remind people and show that, like, well, a good writer would have been like, ooh, Ashtray has to open, Faye is opening Fez and Ashtray up while they're under, and they would show like how they're, how they're reacting to each other
I
and
think
how
what they needed to do was make sure that people weren't getting too emotionally attached to Ashtray. I think they did a good job of kind of separating like their connection a bit, because if we were way too emotionally invested into Ashtray, we'd be like, bro, what the fuck? You're killing a little kid, you know?
That would have been great writing though.
that would have been great. George
I'm
R.
just
Martin
saying.
is calling us. Hello.
Yeah,
Yes.
the more emotion you pull, that's better writing to me.
Because
Aye.
ultimately, this is what, if you're gonna kill off Ashtray like that, the thing you want in his character arc is to show that he needs, and to maybe even to Fez, because like Ethan has been, or Grandmaster Hoop has been saying, what do you call it? Fez had to choose between both lives, and why couldn't they have it with Ashtray as well, where, you know, Faye is now being, what do you call it, kind of like a big sister to him and opening him up, and then he's challenged on multiple times throughout the season if he can, what do you call it,
Balance.
if he can balance, and then at the end when he can't, because he has to protect his family, you know, and then you actually establish that they're a family and you can empathize with that, and then you just say, look, Ashtray made his bed and he had to lay in it.
No, he had to lay in the tub. Did not get shot. Bad joke. Too soon.
Yeah.
Like it would have if they would have put more like given him that role of like, you know, sympathizing with him a little more, it would have been like a How to Get Away with Murder moment. I don't know if anyone's watched that, but when Homeboy died and he was literally the entire season. That's all.
Oh, time out. Hold up. You talking about season 3?
I don't know if anyone's watching it because
Spoiler.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I was gonna.
I know.
Statute of
No,
limitations is over. You can
I'm
spoil.
not saying any names, but I'm just
No, I
saying,
need you to
no one-
Christoph. Can I say Christoph?
Yeah, you can say
Nobody
Christoph.
knows who. Yeah,
Yeah,
there,
you can
see
say
what I did?
Christoph.
You
You
see
can
what
say
I did
Christoph.
there?
That's-
Yeah, you see what I
yeah.
did there. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah,
It was my son. It was my son. It was my boy.
Yeah. I feel like
Yes.
it would have had this. It would have had the same feeling, and then that could have been a whole play for Fez's overcoming and, you know, things in prison and his own reality of, I gotta stop this gang shit. Like, this shit is not gonna work. Like, obviously my little brother just died. I'm not doing this no more. So then he has to deal with that, and it would have carried so well in the next season. Like, it would have just been so perfect. But now that they just kind of just writ him off, like, it's kind of like, no, that's Ashtray. Damn, R.I.P. Like, that's how it feels.
I feel like a lot of people were sorry. Go ahead, Nino.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I was pretty shocked that a lot of people were so surprised that that's how he approached it. And I'm like, literally in the beginning of the season, they said he would go to war for Fez. He went to war.
Yeah,
And it's
That
actually
was a
like,
motherfucking war.
and I saw like on Twitter, it's like someone had like showed like, you know that scene where it's like the dots like on his face. They literally show that scene in episode 1 of season 2 when Fez gets like hit in the head. And it's like all blurry, and it's like if you like rewatch it after he gets smacked in the head and it's like all blurred, there's like a quick snippet of that exact scene.
They could do that, but you know
so
what?
they foreshadowed his death like the whole season, and none of us knew it.
Damn.
Okay, but in the words of, what do you call it? In the words of George R. R. Martin, which I'm gonna butcher right now, foreshadowing and something else are different. Foreshadowing, like I think it was like having a fulfilling character arc or building tension. Like foreshadowing is definitely like necessary, but like if you just foreshadow without developing, it seems really out of place. And you know what? They could have really written, like, it was writing itself. You had great acting, and you had grandma in bed. And you want to know, Fez, the scene writes itself. You literally sit Fez down, and you're just like after like on the phone with Lexi, and he's just like, Grandma, I don't know if I can do this. It would have been a great scene. But you know what? All the grandma did in bed all the time.
That's all she really could
know that
do.
she got shot in the raid. There's no way that she was flatlining in the raid. There's no way that she was.
I think she went
So
unscathed.
what a great
praising
writer
them.
would have done a great writer would have had Grandma come out of the bed and shoot the rest of the cops down.
Hell no. What is this? Some Quentin Tarantino, some
That would've been
Kill Bill,
hilarious, though.
some Die Hard. No, what? What is? She might as well come out with a peg leg AK-47 for a leg
Exactly.
and be
100%.
like, "Get the fuck out of my house."
Scene change. The all you see is a cop shoot a bullet, and then you just see like the bullet like slow motion. Now it's a movie. Now we're talking about Hitman or something. And you
Right?
just-
Yeah. What is the show? What is this show now? We had a freaking shootout in this little tiny house. That, oh my gosh, I don't know. I thought it was a little excessive. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right before they take Fez away, Lori comes out and she like sneaks him off. She's a secret undercover SWAT that they drive off in a different direction. I think that would have been great writing.
No, that's how you know you had like Sam had a blank and they said, "Yo, let's get some action in here. I need some action writers. Let's go. Write this scene," which I felt the emotion for Fez. I think Angus did a phenomenal job in that scene.
Did that shit. I killed this motherfucker.
It's just so sad.
Yes.
Especially because like the parallels were like again at the beginning of the season, Lori was referring to Ashtray as a kid, and Fez was like, "That's not a kid, that's my partner." And then in this scene where he was like, "He's just a kid. Stop.
Yeah.
He's just a kid."
I didn't connect that till you just. Oh, that's.
It's almost like a good writer would have developed that thread until the very end. So then we're reminded, like maybe Fez has to contend with that. Like maybe this is, you know what?
A good writer.
This is a Sam Levinson hating podcast.
Do you want to post this directly to his Twitter? Do you want me to like send it directly?
No, I'm
to
just
him?
gonna write.
I'll do it.
I'm gonna 50 Shades of Grey this. I'm gonna write a Euphoria fan fiction and then publish it and change all the names except no sex stuff. That's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna make a
I'll read it, Nino. Post that shit.
The most.
You lost me at no sex.
You lost me at fan fiction. I'm not reading Euphoria fan fiction.
Listen,
Why not? You might
this
have
is
better writing than Sam.
Ethan, you don't even know the dark pits of depravity that I have seen with fan fiction and that I have enjoyed reading.
I know you love fan
fan
fiction, and you try to put me on half these fan fictions.
No, I have not.
Yeah. Well, you definitely tell me about it, and you tell me your words. A better writer would have done this.
Tumblr's full of them. Tumblr is full of them.
And I hear you out on all of it, Nino. I hear you out. I let you run. I'd be like, I can see that. But Euphoria, I'm not that invested where I need some fan fiction.
I'll read it, Nino. I'll support you. Don't worry. Grandmaster's not a supporter, but I'll support you.
Fanfiction. Cal and Lori are secretly lovers.
Shut up. Absolutely not. What is this?
No, that's disgusting.
That doesn't even make sense.
And then the birds are actually children that were transformed into animals.
Sure.
I think this is great. I think I'm onto something. I gotta write this.
What is this?
Stop it, Darce.
Animorphs? Or are you like Morgan, like Game of Thrones?
I think that Ashtray's death was kind of inevitable because that actor was just starting to get a little too old from starting to be like that 6-year-old that was originally in the convenience store. If they keep on pushing production back, he's gonna look like a high schooler by the time that he's supposed to be 8 years old.
Wait, how old was he? How old was he in season 1?
Season 1, 6 or 8 or something. He was young.
No. He was not.
In the show.
I think he was 11.
He's like 11.
Yeah, I think he's just 11. Yeah.
11, but he was looking like a teenager. At the end of this.
He looked 13. He looked like 2
11.
years
He
fast.
looked 12. He looked 12.
He looked 13, 14. I knew some 14-year-old that looked like that.
I mean, I don't think they
Yeah,
killed
he
him
was
off.
14 in season 2. It says 14 at death.
I wouldn't think they killed him off just for the age factor. I think they would have worked.
Factor, but I think
How was he 11 in season 1 and then 14 in season 2? Canonical.
A better writer would have done their math.
2 years, 13. He just about in high school at that point.
I don't think they. I don't think they expected a whole world pandemic to pause the the writing of season 2. I think season 2 was already written when they pitched it.
No, I thought in the show, like canonically, that Astray is 14, and I was like, wait a minute, how can Astray be 11 at the start of season 1, and then season 2 takes place a couple of weeks after, and he be 14?
I remember now that 11, it plays a little bit more of a significant number because that was the age that Nate found the discs.
That's too. That you see, we're reaching again. Sam Levinson probably was like, "I like the number 11. It's 1 and 1. Oh my god,
I like 11 too, baby."
We and I hate to say it, but we haven't even talked about Kat. And I know there's not much to talk about Kat or Jules. Actually, like we haven't even gotten into Kat
we
or
haven't.
Jules.
But oh my gosh, let's make it quick. Make it some hot takes. Kat was done terribly in this season. And the play reflects it too, because Luna was hardly a character in the play. And screw Kat for being like, Maddie, stop. No, let her beat that hoe's ass. Stop that. What kind of friend you are, Kat? You just mad because Ethan won a Tony Award. So that's all I got to say on Kat.
Yeah, Kat thought that Ethan was boring.
I do got to say, like, if we're wrapping it up, I gotta say that I really loved the Nate and Lexi like romance scenes, like when they were on the phone, like talking every single day, and how
Nate.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Fez.
I was like,
that's disgusting.
Nate and
Fez and Lexi. When
Is
Fez
this
and
in
Lexi were having little romance scenes and they were talking every single day on the phone, I thought that was so cute. And then like he mentioned Little House on the Prairie, and the next day she put it on the TV and she started watching. I've seen Little House on the Prairie. That's just boring as hell. So her actually watching it and enjoying
really good.
it.
Listen. The books are really good. I've read all
the books
of
are good. Yeah, the books are good.
Are really good. But what do you call it? Fez and Lexi had one of the best romances in the season. And they just were like, you know what? What if everyone just suffered and we don't give them anything? They didn't get one kiss. They only got holding hands. And that's I'm
They can hold hands between the cells because he's going to jail.
So sad.
Which again, nobody knows what went down with Fez. Everybody's kind of like, oh, Fez is just another empty seat. And that's it.
Spider-Man, calm down.
yeah.
I think if they do a flash forward scene, it would probably be Fez still in jail and like
Wait a minute. Why didn't Lexi and Rue not comment at all about Fez?
They didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, they didn't know yet.
A better writer though.
Play.
A better writer though.
If that scene did happen after the play, won't they think it weird? Won't Lexi think it weird? Be like, hey, have you heard from Fez lately? We used to talk like every day, but now he's not answering. And then Rue will be like,
Bro, he in jail.
Yeah, I think it's like they ended the season like right after the play, so I don't think they know yet. But it's like, again, we don't know if that scene where they were reconciling was like before the play or after the play. It gets a little hazy.
It could have been before. I'm like, oh, well, okay, you're bringing some good points.
The
yeah,
ending,
but it's just like it's confusing. We don't know.
The ending just all felt a little rushed, and if season 1 ended on a cliffhanger, this one again, I felt if they did not want to come back to this show, they can end it right there, the way it ended. It just had a lot of ambiguity left, and the way it closed with just Rue walking out into the sunset was like, I don't know, it felt lazy. And then with Jules, the whole Jules thing felt lazy too. How you got 2 episodes of Jules just catching side glances at Rue, and then approaching her, and when I felt I understood Rue's response. She's just she's like in a good place right now. She doesn't know she wants to introduce that back into her life quite yet.
That forehead kiss just made me think that this is over. I was like, ooh, I've seen that. And
that's what it felt like. Yeah.
But
Jules's character didn't have much to do this season. A lot of her was responsive to Rue's story arc. So
Elliot, after the what do you call it? After the special where she was like, I'm done performing for men, or looking for validation from men, whatever she says. And then this season, it never addressed the regression. So all this shit that I was saying that, oh my God, they're regressing and, and I'm trying to big brain everything. I just gaslit myself because honestly, it was just Sam couldn't find a way to write around Jules needing or being in proximity of a man or being in a relationship with a man. And then he was just like, well, I guess. It had a great story. What about Jules' dad? What happened with Jules' dad? What about her home life? She has a whole life, and we just don't.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Look. Jules has a story. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
But I think it's also like, to the point of Zendaya, or not Zendaya, if Rue is going to be the narrator and this is like the final moments of Jules, like in her life, because she said that Jules was my first love.
She did.
And it's kind of like leaving it open to like, and that's it, like if Jules is no longer part of Zendaya's life, or I'm sorry, part of Rue's life, then I don't think that like we're going to need to get too much of Jules's backstory, like, for sure, like I don't know, like, yes, no. I understand that like we needed to see more of Jules, especially since she was the main character of season 1. This season I felt like she was kind of a side character. She was very much of a support and not the main. I think this season the main character was Cassie, Cal, and
Rue.
Fez.
Yeah.
Rue and Nino.
Rue. Her main character, she had that like one Rue focused episode, and I think that's it. Like we didn't really get to see much of Rue.
I think we're gonna see a lot. I think we're gonna see a lot more Jules though, for sure. I mean, they cannot bump this.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna write her off.
Out. I'm sorry, she's a trans girl. Like this is a whole conversation. Like this is like there's so many layers you can peel with that. You know what I mean? As far as like her experiences and stuff. So. I mean, good writing would be to make her a very focal point next season, because it would just.
But that all depends on good writing. We've been saying this whole podcast, good writing.
Good writing, good whatever. We ain't doing shit right now. So
maybe we should just send like all our suggestions to Sam Levinson and like hope he takes some. Like, listen, this is
spiraling right now. Twitter is destroying him anyway. We don't even have to do anything.
I feel kind of bad though, because I know he like suffers through like depression and anxiety. So I hope.
Okay.
Also,
me too.
That,
me too. Like, I don't get. You can go talk to his therapist. I can talk with, but I can offer criticism. Like when I say it's bad writing, I'm not saying that like I hate you and you should go die. I'm just saying like, listen, it was really bad. Make it better.
Yeah, but there's so many more factors to just writing a story. Like you have to keep in mind that you have production schedules. You have to keep in mind the actors. You have to keep in mind all of this extra influence.
Yeah, we're talking about the drama, like
child labor laws.
Don't let that stuff. Laws. That stuff should not affect your writing, though. If there's a story you want to tell, you tell it. I think season 1 does a really good job at just balancing multiple characters and multiple character arcs, and all this drama that has happened between season 1 and 2 affected the writer room so heavily to where now we don't have a story that juggles. Huh?
You mean his personal office? That was only him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You have all this drama that affects the writing to where now you need a I guess for lack of a better word, a MacGuffin to build up towards. Lexi's play was built up towards for like 5 episodes, and it brought all the characters into one central location in one place, versus season 1 you just watch their stories play out. They didn't need a central thing to bring them all together. It's like the play was low-key, and here come the Avengers all coming to play their part. I know, terrible little I wish I didn't use Avengers, but it just, you know,
it's like an end game type of vibe with some missing characters. Yeah, I get
right, and that was the problem. I think the overall problem with season 2 was just you don't let all these heads affect what's going on. Tell the story you want to tell, and there were inklings of the story you wanted to tell throughout the season, but then you lost a lot of what made season 1 really good, you know.
Yeah.
So I need him to do better.
Dr. Rika and I were saying
producers and like other castmates, I think they need to kind of like take a step back and let him actually fully flesh out.
That's what I said. That's what I just said. Leave that,
shit out.
Listen,
if that rumor of Jules having the Nate storyline or the going after Nate storyline was true, I'm glad I didn't see that because I'd be mad.
Well, I think we don't know like officially like what the story would have been. Like I think they had to play it off to like Cassie's like love drunk Euphoria instead of like Jules. I think she was more of a attention drunk, you know, like she was getting the attention that she kind of wanted from the messages with Nate. So who knows what it's going to look like in what it could have looked like. And I kind of wish we would have seen something similar to that. But
trying to give Kat an eating disorder, and she said absolutely not. From what they say, that they were trying to give that, and she didn't want to do those scenes, which
would have made no sense for her character anyways. Like I feel like she left off season 1 like so like getting comfortable and confident in her own skin. Like it would have made I'm glad Barbie stood up because that would have made no damn sense to me.
Yeah, that's stupid.
That would have because I feel like everyone loved Kat in season 1 because she was like embracing her own skin, like being the bad bitch that she is. Like, you know, I feel like that's why everyone loved Kat, you know, minus the whole, you know, online cyber sex shit. That was
I loved it. I loved that. that was
funny.
That was like
get your money, start that fans, pay for college.
It was a good arc for her, and Nino pointed out too, a lot of characters regressed, but now it just seems they regressed because of whatever drama was going on.
Barbie's drama made sense. Like I would have said hell no to Sam Levinson too, because that makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, because if it was anything else, I'd have been like, she's selfish because honestly, this is such a good show. Like, why would you, you know, turn down anything suggested? But that specifically, I would have been like, you doing a lot, Sam. Like, what are you thinking, you weirdo? And then with all, you know, like all you want to do is see like these 17-year-olds or whatever have sex and stuff. It's weird. So it's like you're just like pushing boundaries.
I don't know. I just hope you know, whenever we do get season 3, it answers a lot of our questions. I hope some of the characters that kind of took a bit of a back burner this season get, you know, more showtime, and we get to see, you know, similar. I feel like season 1 blended a little bit with season 2 and make like a good season 3, because I feel like season 2, although like I feel like, you know, season 1, you know, we got like each character got their own arc and we really dove into their own stories. I do really like how this season went into a little bit more detail, like with Rue's story. Like I would like that, a little bit more detail of each character, but like somehow getting all that, you know, getting all our cakes and eating it too.
Yeah, I think a blend is needed for sure, because I think episode 3 might be the best episode of this season, my opinion.
For sure.
But it was just the structure of that episode, which it felt Euphoria, and then they started just kind of get into a simple narrative structure. But listen, folks, are we okay? We good?
I think.
Right?
I don't know. I'm
okay. Because I mean, you know, after this, it's 2 years that we'll be back talking about this. So
that's insane.
That is insane.
We'll be back seeing more of Chris and Nino fighting over Lexi.
I mean, the fans don't even know about our chat.
The characters.
We didn't even fight about it like that though. Like y'all was scared for, we mostly agreed. I felt.
I know. I just
trying to start a little fire. That's okay.
Yeah.
Doing the most.
It's always welcome. It's always welcome. Again, we have fun here. So,
But no doubt, I don't mind. I don't mind a fight.
Yeah, I know you like to scrap. You like to scrap.
I'll script and scrap, you know.
Yeah.
But to the folks at home, listen, we thank y'all for tuning in to our coverage of Euphoria season 2. We'll see y'all again for season 3 or whatever specials may come few in between, or maybe we'll cover the next Sam Levinson project and see if he can actually write to save his life. We don't know. But listen, tune in to the Yonkō Table on all your podcast stations, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you may listen. Catch us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you need to go to get your daily fix and hear our thoughts on a multitude of topics covering your favorite things and entertainment. Listen, as the voice of GrandMasterHoop. There goes Nieces Pieces, Kame, Chris, Darce, and Nino Desplezado. We want to thank y'all for tuning in, and shoot, y'all have a good night and be back for more, baby. All right.